4 men burst into the room. Their faces were covered. They started pointing their guns at us, screaming, telling us to get out of bed.
It was a night that changed Sabah's life forever.
They tied my husband's hands, blindfolded him, and threw him into the back of the car.
Within hours, the call came in from Sunni insurgents who had kidnapped her husband.
How much money did they ask for your husband?
$50,000. I did not have that kind of money.
10 days later, his body was dumped on the side of a road in the northern Iraqi city of Mosul.
All the bones in his body were broken. He was hacked repeatedly and choked to death.
His crime being a member of Iraq's tiny Christian community. Her husband was killed 4 years ago. Today, she faces another unimaginable crisis. On October 4th, radical Muslims in Mosul started killing Christians. Sabah, along with thousands of Christians, fled their homes after extremists threatened to kill them if they didn't convert to Islam.
Yes, that's the pressure we faced. Most of the Christian families were paying money to Al-Qaeda in exchange for protection, but that money got us nowhere.
Today, she and dozens of Christian families have sought refuge in this cultural center outside Mosul.
We used to have parties and different meetings in this hall, but now we've converted it into a place for these refugees.
Before the US-led invasion, there were about 1 million Christians in Iraq. They lived in relative security, free to worship and build churches. But after the invasion, Muslim radicals started targeting them.
There are people and groups behind the scenes that we cannot see who want to drive the Christians out of Iraq. This is nothing short of an ethnic cleansing of a specific group of people.
Dr. Hussein Sinjari, a human rights activist, blames Al-Qaeda and other Sunni insurgent groups for the violence against Christians.
This is the fundamentalist Islam, this is the fascist Islam, this is the Qaeda, this is the Islam al-Qaeda, and they don't like the other.
Church leaders here estimate that most of Iraq's Christians have now fled or been killed, and about 13,000 have left Mosul. They're part of the more than 4 million Iraqis the United Nations says have fled their homes since the war began.
We are glad that Saddam is gone, but I must tell you that at least we felt safe back then. No one ever dared to attack us. Now we are being killed.
Today in the towns of the Nineveh Plain, a few miles northeast of Mosul, Christians have taken refuge in schools and churches. Some 250 Christian families have fled the violence in Mosul and have moved to this particular village in Bartella. There is still tremendous amount of fear in this community because there is concern that the insurgents as well as Al-Qaeda could slip into this community. Mosul is one of the most dangerous cities today in Iraq. In addition to Al-Qaeda, U.S. commanders say at least 12 insurgent groups operate in the city. But as U.S. and Iraqi forces launch new security operations, the concern is that some of these insurgents will move into the areas where Christians have taken refuge. Meanwhile, security around Mosul has improved somewhat. The government is pledging financial support and protection for every Christian family that returns to Mosul. But so far, just handfuls have returned. George Thomas, CBN News, Northern Iraq.